Greetings, fellow man. Servus Männer. This is Red Pill Germany again. And today I want to talk about Tom Leykis and Bundy. So you might ask yourself, what the hell, that is a weird topic, but I think it will all make sense later. So for all those people who are not familiar with either Tom Leykis or Bundy, I want to briefly discuss who they are. So Bundy is the lead character of my favorite show, Married with Children. In Germany it was known as Eine schrecklich nette Familie. And Bundy basically was a stud in high school. He was the quarterback of Polk High who scored 4 touchdowns in a single game. So he was the alpha dude when he was young. And then he got a football scholarship, which would set him on the path to a very successful life of money, fame, and glory. However, in that summer before college, he knocked up a redhead called Peggy, and the rest of the story is basically how his then summer job became his career, being a women's shoe salesman at the local mall. He then ended up with a deadbeat wife who loves Oprah and bonbons, and 2 really weird children. So it is the typical story of the guy who knocks up the girl and has to let go of all his hopes and dreams just to become a walking wallet. Tom Leykis, on the other hand, is not a fictional character, even though his real name is of course not Tom Leykis. He's mostly famous for the Tom Leykis show that he was hosting from the mid-90s to the late 2000s. Tom Leykis also goes by the name of Dad or the Professor. So Tom was doing talk or call-in radio where he would open up with a shocking, provocative thesis and then take a bunch of calls and have people yelling at him or agreeing with him and relating their personal story about the issue. As the professor and as the dad, he was basically being the father that they never had. He had a no bullshit attitude and he told them the stuff that their dad should actually have told him if he hadn't been a pussy. He had a segment called Leykis 101 that I really urge you guys to look up on YouTube, because there are several recordings available on YouTube of the Tom Leykis show and Leykis 101. Here he told guys about the dangers of paternity fraud or about unwanted fatherhood or the pitfalls of dating and the nature of women actually. So at that time that was basically the only source for this kind of information, because the internet and the manosphere as we know it today had not existed. And so Tom Leykis also told us a lot about his own life in his show during his program. So he was a bright kid apparently, and he made it into college, into a very good school actually, but he dropped out due to financial issues. So he wasn't incapable, he just couldn't afford the tuition anymore. He was really passionate about radio and moved a lot in the country actually. It is said that his defining moment was when he was locked out of his own apartment by his girlfriend because she said he doesn't make enough money. So that incident made him get really serious about his career. So Tom Leykis never wanted to have children because he knew that that would be in the way for his career. He needs to move a lot as a radio host, and that's why he was actually married and divorced 4 times, but he is childless by design, as he says. So I really urge you guys who have never heard of Tom Leykis before, I think my German subscribers maybe have not heard of him, because me too, I mean, I have only very recently, I think 3 years ago, I found out about Tom Leykis, and that is hilarious. I was just playing computer games and at the same time going through his radio programs 1 hour at a time, and this is just hilarious. You learn a lot of stuff. Even a red pill man can still learn a lot of stuff from these callers and their stories. It's just hilarious. Go through it on YouTube. Or Tom Leykis actually also has a website where you can get all the old programs, I think. As you might know, the radio business is not doing great at the moment, and he actually left the radio business when they wouldn't offer him the money that he was used to anymore. And this is another important issue. I mean, if the industry doesn't pay you what you think you deserve anymore, I mean, don't just quit your job, but seriously look for an option. And that's what he did. So he knew that internet would be the next big thing. So he started from zero, basically, building up his internet business, where he is, according to what I hear, pretty successful at the moment. So he's still producing a show and has weekly content. It's just not on the radio anymore. It's online. So there are many lessons that you can learn from Tom Leykis, and it's not all about not paying for a woman's drinks and never paying for her dinner, or for example putting horseradish sauce into condoms before you throw them in the dustbin. But also how you should go about your professional and financial affairs. For example, he has not very big ties to his family anymore because he says that they are losers, basically, and he doesn't want to associate with them. They are dragging him down, and he went his way. He is a man going his own way, and we can all learn from Tom Leykis, not knocking a woman up. And when a woman says, "You're not good, you don't make enough money," don't ask, "Oh, how can I make it right with that woman?" No, dump that bitch. Focus on your career. And also, he didn't use any game in order to, or psychological tricks in order to fake actual status. No, he just said, screw that. I just build on my career. I work on myself and I actually become rich and famous. And he is the anti-PUA, if you ask me. He is the anti-PUA. He does not use any tricks or any approaches, or he doesn't scout or something, but he is rich and famous. He has a 7-figure income. So the women come to him. He is in that sense the opposite of a pickup artist, really. And what is Al Bundy now in this segment? Well, I would say Al Bundy is the negative example. He's the warning example that shows us what can happen when you are not smart, when you knock up that girl, and when you have those kids, and when you have the crappy job because you cannot go to school, you cannot build your career because you cannot allow to sacrifice or to have a minimalist lifestyle and move around the country to chase opportunity. You can't do that. If you knock up a woman by the age of 18 or 20 or something, your life is over. You will probably never have a big income, and your family will probably hate you. You will end up like, well, some version of Al Bundy or of his gang of sad men. But I have to say about Al Bundy though, and Tom Leykis always talked about pussified media, pussified sitcoms, soap operas, everything is pussified. And then they were making a list in one show about pussified shows. And he said Married with Children, so feminized, pussified, yeah? But actually, I think someone said something during a commercial break or something, because then he backpedaled. He actually said, well, Married with Children, I have to say, they have a lot of interesting stuff, they get a lot of things right. And I have to say, yeah, I mean, most of the jokes are at the cost of Al Bundy, and he is shown as a loser. I get that. However, the woman is also shown as a horrible person. Peg Bundy is not shown as the like the wife in Everybody Loves Raymond, right? She is not perfect. She does not know everything, and she doesn't do anything right at the first attempt. So in that sense, by negative example, Married with Children was maybe my first real red pill in life, and it comes at small dosages, episode by episode, but I watched that program every week, and in the beginning you laugh about these rude jokes and it's just shock value because something like that has never been shown on TV before, really. And I think the project name first was Not the Cosbys or something, so they wanted to be the anti-Cosby show, kind of, and show not the perfect family, lawyer, doctor, great kids, but they wanted to show a, I don't like the term, but maybe white trash family somehow. So in the beginning you laugh about these shock value kind of jokes and these extreme caricatures, but the more you watch it, the more you start thinking, wait, isn't that real life? Isn't that how life is for many guys and families out there? Like there is no food in the fridge, and they drive a crappy car, and they're ridiculed by all their neighbors, and women don't respect them, their children don't respect them. So if you can learn well by negative examples, and I am one of those people, I always learn better by seeing what not to do than the other way around. I think negative examples or warnings were always more effective with me than some great inspiration somehow. Because I don't really like to imitate people or to follow them. I have some sources of inspiration. I wouldn't call them idols, but these negative examples, these warnings, like, oh, don't do that, you end up like this guy. This always was worked really well for me. And there was this one episode where even I think Matt LeBlanc, the guy who played Joey in Friends later or something, he was there actually as an actor, and his father brought him into the shoe store, and he wanted to get married, I think, to his girlfriend, and his father was worried that his son would throw away his life. So he brought him to the shoe store to Al so that Al could talk some sense into him. And Al just basically told him, never get married, never have kids. So that was his advice for this young man with prospects. So Tom Leykis dishes out a lot of red pills directly, and Married with Children and the character of Al Bundy does so more as a negative example and in a more fun and indirect way, probably. However, there is no piece of information that's floating around in the manosphere that isn't shown in one way or the other in the show Married with Children. There is the deadbeat good-for-nothing wife, there are the horrible kids, there is true forced loneliness in the son Bud, there is extreme cock carousel riding in the daughter Kelly, and even the MRA is actually having their moment when Al and his loser friends found the No Man Club. So that can be seen as a little caricature of the men's rights movement. So maybe the younger guys don't really know Married with Children anymore. It is still my favorite show, and I still watch old episodes because it's just hilarious. And something like this would never go on the air today. And to German people who might not know who Tom Leykis is, I really urge you to check him out. It's an hilarious program. So be Tom Leykis, don't be Al Bundy. And they could have easily been the other person had they made different decisions in life. So that's all from my side for today. Thanks for stopping by. I hope to catch you guys again soon, and have a great day. Servus, Kameraden.